Hi everyone, I'm Astro Coach Amy. Welcome to my show, The Divine GPS Navigator. Today we'll be talking about the lunar eclipse and full moon, which occurs July 27th. Here in the West Coast, the peak of the eclipse will be about 1:20 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's actually a full eclipse in other parts of the world except for North America. So we have that choice. We can see there are some interesting telescope events I've noticed online. You could take a peek that way. We'll be looking at some other eclipses probably next year. And what's really significant is this is actually the longest eclipse in the 21st century. It is almost a 4-hour duration, which is very special. And of course, that's the time that the moon is going to be doing its traveling and it's going to be crossing the earth. And of course, there'll be those shadows more visible in other parts of the world. Now, the lunar eclipse is, a unique time in that it definitely has the greater focus on our emotional intelligence. This month, the full moon is in the earth sign of Capricorn, which of course means the sun will be in the water sign of Cancer. Now, it's significant this month because we also have what I've been discussing is called a T-square. That means that there are 3 different planetary energies that we're trying to balance. They're very different. They all want their way. And our job is to integrate that and to use those energies consciously. Now, with the sun and also the north node, they'll be in the water sign of Cancer. Of course, there's that strong emphasis on family, but also on emotional security and feeling nurturing and safety within our family, within ourselves. However, with the moon, this month we have Mars just practically in the same degree, and we have the south node in Capricorn. Now, I've talked very briefly, but just in a nutshell, the north and south node are points where we're here to grow as souls. So if the north node's in Cancer by the sun, maybe we're being asked to consider we have a family tribe, not just our blood, that we really are related or we are family. However, the south node, because it's so close to Mars and the moon, there may be some tendency to want to stay comfortable, since Capricorn has a lot to do with the family name and with a lot of security in the material world. With so much economic upheaval going on, a lot of people aren't feeling very secure in that way right now. So we tend to go to a default, something that might be safe but isn't so productive. Now, with Uranus being in the third point of that T-square, which is in Aries, which is a fire sign, the bigger picture here is that we're being asked to awaken, and quickly, meaning time to trust, time to make new paradigm shifts. However, in the smaller picture of the lunar eclipse, if you're feeling a little bit of angst or a bit more aggressive than usual or emotionally a bit more sensitive, please know the good news is things are being cleared out that really no longer serve you. And remember, an eclipse is a catalyst. So it closes the door on those old behaviors. It opens wonderful new opportunities. But in order to do it, it's kind of like the parachute. Our mind and heart only work if they're open. So please remember that this may be, rather charged for some people you're around. So make sure, as I've said many times, I encourage you, whether you meditate or reflect, however you take that quiet time, I really invite you to do it a couple days before, during, and after the event to see what can expand, what, insights, new realizations, and guidance you might even receive. Remember, the energy is there to be used, and the idea is that the old ways aren't working so well. And this is really a big reminder with this lunar eclipse. How do we do this more purposefully? How can we create these new paradigms? It's getting more and more important each day. And I will say that one of the big ones right now is with things being so accelerated and the fact that we have 3 eclipses this summer. I want to say, I think, again, the idea of being able to collaborate, whether it's a simple project at work, whether it's being willing to help out, a family member or friend, even a neighbor, something so small that in the past, you might have wanted to draw straws. This is not the time for that anymore. It's really the time for bigger solutions and win-win. And I think that's a lot of what the summer is about, is learning to find those ways. We will, I think, just be so pleased when we can have a stronger sense of community. Now, one of the things, as we know, with so much polarity right now, with Mars retrograde, as we've talked about before, what's especially interesting this summer is we not only have Mars retrograde, but we also, right before the eclipse begins, we actually have Mercury going retrograde for 3 weeks. Of course, I've mentioned it does that every year, 3 times a year. And this particular cycle, from the 26th of July till the 19th of August, it will be in the water sign of Cancer. So again, what that means is it's a time to practice emotional intelligence, be able to share your truth. Remember, the Mercury retrograde, things might feel a little bit scattered. People sometimes are a little late or they postpone their appointments. But remember, it's a great time of opportunity that if things are postponed or canceled, it's because you were supposed to meet someone new. There's a great opportunity, just hasn't shown up yet, and it will be there if there's an empty space in your calendar. Be patient. Sometimes you're repaid old debts. It's really a great time to catch up on projects, and you may have a lot of clarity that you just didn't have, especially if you have those conversations at work or at home that have been put on hold. It's so important right now. Share the truth so you're not holding resentments. And again, I encourage you to not take things personally. One of my favorite phrases is to really try to detach with love. And I try to practice that so that I don't disconnect out of anger or out of resentment. Now, in addition, as we've mentioned, because Mars is in that retrograde motion in the Earth sign of Capricorn until the 27th of August, again, I encourage you, whether it's a little bit of decluttering, some ways that you can even, look at your own spending plan, things you're doing, whether it's in your business, your family, your life, are there ways you can really enjoy, keep things simple, and I'm going to say more sustainable. I really think it's important during this Mars retrograde, find ways that you can really enjoy living here, especially summer and it's time for vacation and fun, but find ways to do it more sustainably than usual. I think that would be a really good use of the Mars Capricorn, the retrograde energy. I think you'll feel a lot, afterwards, I think you'll feel a lot better and maybe less annoyed as well. It's, as I mentioned, it is really a dynamic time. The solar eclipse is on its way, August 11th. So clearly, the paradigm shifts are not comfortable, but I think some amazing new things are coming. We've talked before about the areas of creativity, inspiration. If you can just take a little bit of time this summer, especially during this period before this particular eclipse, see what brings you joy and also be aware of the things that frustrate and annoy you and see how you can turn that around. It may be just a tremendous win for you. As I've said before, and I'll say again, in closing, by all means, I encourage you each day to find a few things you're grateful for. But I know for me, especially during this Mars retrograde, I've wanted each day to remember to celebrate my progress. Forget the perfection and celebrate that progress. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Master Coach Amy. This is the Divine GPS Navigator. And if you'd like a reading or have a question, please contact me via email or on my website.